Greetings, everyone. A recognized authority on global manufacturing, Mr. Warren Harris, Chief Executive Officer and Managing Director of Tata Technologies Limited, has been with the organization for more than 25 years, where his roles have evolved from engineer to several technical management positions worldwide. In 1998, Mr. Harris was named CEO of INCAT, which was acquired by Tata Technologies, and served on its board of directors. He managed a worldwide expansion initiative overseeing a merger that established the company as a major force in the United States. In 2003, he launched a joint venture in Japan that became the foundation of INCAT's expansion in the Asia-Pacific region, before securing a public listing on the AIM market of the London Stock Exchange in 2004. Under his stewardship, the company acquired Cambric Corporation in 2013 and Ascenda Engineering AB, a Gothenburg, Sweden-based automotive engineering and design house. Mr. Harris holds a Bachelor's of Engineering degree with honors, which he earned in 1986 from the University of Wales Institute of Science and Technology. He's a member of the Institute of Mechanical Engineers and is also a chartered engineer. In October 2011, Mr. Harris graduated from the Harvard Business School Advanced Management Program. And in 2016, for his distinguished achievements, he was conferred with an honorary PhD degree by the MIT University. Mr. Harris, welcome to Mobility Outlook. It's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Hi, Debangshu.
So we'll start off with asking you this question about the company's performance in Q3 FY22, which was best in its history in terms of both revenue and operating profit. How did you approach this phase, considering we were hit by a pandemic?
Yeah, well, it was the kind of the culmination of a number of things that we had basically put in place as a response to the initial phases of the pandemic. When COVID presented itself in the early part of 2020, it had a fundamental impact upon manufacturing more so than many other sectors, and many of our customers, particularly automotive and aerospace customers, were fundamentally impacted, and we saw in the first quarter of our FY 2021, we saw precipitous runoff in revenue. We saw a 35% hit in the revenue when you compare Q4 of the previous year to the first quarter of FY 2021. Mm-hmm. We worked very hard to take the necessary steps to align cost and revenue. We took advantage of furlough legislation in different parts of the world. Right. But somewhat counterintuitively, we took the steps to really ensure that our customers understood that we were going to be there for them during difficult times. And the outreach that we were very deliberate about, mm-hmm. that prompted a very generous response from our customers. And when things started to improve, certainly we were rewarded by the amount of business that came our way. What we also saw with COVID was kind of a renewed confidence in working remotely. Right. And so we've seen a significant uptick in outsourcing and a significant uptick in offshoring, and all of those things have contributed to the sequential improvement in revenue and profit that we've seen every quarter since the initial phases of COVID.
Did the pandemic really force upon Tata Technologies any fundamental changes to your business strategy?
Not really any fundamental changes in our business strategy. Mm-hmm. We were fairly fixed in terms of what we were prioritizing. Mm-hmm. But I think what it did was it accelerated the deployment of strategy. Okay. So, for instance, our expectations in terms of offshoring were exceeded. Our expectations in terms of the complexity and the size of engagements that we were securing in the marketplace. Those things happened somewhat sooner than we anticipated, but there was no real fundamental change of strategy or plan.
Okay, all right. Now, how do you view the opportunities that the current mobility megatrends offer to Tata Technologies, and how are you really approaching these megatrends?
Well, right now, because the response of the industry the industries that we're serving to COVID, but also some of the sort of macroeconomic and the political challenges that have been influencing decisions and activities. We've seen a tremendous uptick in terms of demand. Okay. We are not opportunity constrained right now. We are, if anything, supply side constrained, and that's really where we're spending much of our effort right now. Typically, in a year, we'll recruit somewhere between 1,400 and 2,000 people. Okay. In Q3 of last year, we recruited 1,500 people, and this last fiscal year we recruited 4,600 people. So we are spending a disproportionate amount of our time at the moment improving the overall employee value proposition, with a view to attracting and retaining the best and the brightest in the industry.
Okay. Okay. Specifically, Mr. Harris, what are some of the opportunities that you see in the e-mobility sector? Could you talk about some of your technology and innovative offerings to OEMs worldwide?
Well, we've been in the e-mobility space since 2010, 2011. Our first foray into electric vehicles was when Mr. Tata challenged us to build a technology demonstrator that we launched at the Detroit Auto Show in 2012. We were challenged by him, and it was just after Tata Motors had launched the Nano. We were asked to put together a technology demonstrator, battery electric vehicle that would support an MSRP of $20,000 in the United States. And at the time, battery prices were about $12,000, $13,000. And so we had to come up with a complete business plan that not only included the vehicle, but also the approach that we were going to take to manufacturing. And we launched that in 2012. Since then, we've been very much involved with the startup movement on the West Coast, and also the move into battery electric vehicles in regions like China. What we've seen is really obviously the pendulum swing within the new age companies fairly dramatically since about 2015, 2016. But the traditional OEMs have been much slower to move ER&D dollars, and much slower to move priorities. But since the pandemic, we've seen that completely change. Right. All of the vehicle programs that we're involved with right now has some form of electrification, and so our capabilities in lightweighting, the work that we've done in and around electrical architectures, the embedded systems capabilities that we've got, the software capabilities that we've got, the full vehicle capabilities that we've got. In each of those areas, we're seeing exponential increases in demand, and the type of responsibility that we're being given now is much improved from where it was as recently as 2-3 years ago. Typically, when we would engage with a traditional OEM, when it came to full vehicles, we'd be given top hats and we'd be given packaging responsibility for many of the decisions that they have made. Right now, we have 3 vehicle programs that we are managing from concept all the way through launch. We're responsible for the engineering, the management of the suppliers, test and validation, and all of the sort of warm weather testing, cold weather testing. So we've got complete turnkey responsibility. That's something that in the past we would never have been trusted to do. But I think that's an indication of where the industry is moving. I think the traditional engagement model of an OEM and a vertically integrated supply chain, that's moving now to much more of an ecosystem, and organizations like ourselves are being able to take out complete and discrete parts of the value chain and take responsibility for that.
So this decade-long experience that you've had in the e-mobility sector, what are some of those key learnings that are likely to sort of leapfrog the organization to the next level?
Well, one of the things that we have always prided ourselves in is the fact that we are a global company. And we're not an India-out company. We're very proud of our heritage here in India. We're very proud of our position and the ownership of the Tata Group. But we have set ourselves up as an organization that is very much global in its perspective and very diverse in terms of the teams that we've assembled. And we see that as a significant advantage, particularly as it pertains to being entrusted again with the complete development of vehicles and subsystems, not just in the context of our ability to drive customer intimacy and to get close to the decision makers that we're working with, but also in terms of our ability to be able to stand up capability from different parts of the world. We are engaged, as I mentioned before, on a number of vehicle programs right now, one of which we've got teams from 7 different countries that are contributing to the delivery of that vehicle. We've got ADAS capability in Gothenburg. We've got body engineering, lightweight body engineering in the UK. Our software team and electrical team is predominantly here in India. So that topology of delivery we've seen as a real advantage. And one of the things over the last 10 years that we've done is really improve our delivery platform and our execution systems to enable that type of collaboration. I think the other thing that we've learned and we've invested to support this is the whole movement of emphasis from the driving experience to the vehicle experience as it pertains to things like infotainment and the connected and smart feature capabilities. Now, when it comes now to the competitive position of vehicles, the styling is important, but the powertrain and the chassis is less important, and there's a lot more emphasis on driving differentiation through software, and we've obviously invested to ensure that we're relevant and in a position to be able to provide that support.
Right. While you have invested pretty heavily in terms of building your capabilities and the team in India, how do you view the opportunity or the potential of the Indian e-mobility sector?
I think the e-mobility sector represents a massive opportunity. We had a kickoff yesterday, and I was very, very pleased to have Shailesh Chandra from Tata Motors join us and talk about the Indian market and talk about the opportunity through the eyes of Tata Motors. And one of the things that he shared with us was that TML have done a great deal of research. And as far as e-mobility is concerned, the Indian consumer is a lot more sophisticated than other regions in the world. There's a lot more appetite here in India. And I think because the industry is starting to wake up to that, I think you'll see a great deal of investment in capability and products that will align with the requirements of this country. Okay. And I'm extremely excited about Tata Technologies playing a part in that. I also think that that obviously price is a very important criteria here in India, product price. But I see that as a real advantage for the industry, in that if you take a look at some of the black box solutions that many of the battery electric vehicle companies in the West and in China are relying upon, those black box solutions are unlikely to be appropriate for the Indian market. So I think we've got an opportunity to innovate and develop solutions that will not only be relevant here, will have the opportunity to be able to export globally.
Right. I also understand you've invested in a software engineering center in Bangalore. So what would be the specific role that this center would play for Tata Technologies' global aspirations?
Yeah, we started the center initially through a partnership with GKN. We're partnered with GKN in developing software for all of their components and systems globally. Since the inauguration of the GKN Center, we've built out our embedded systems and software capability in Bangalore, and the priority that we've positioned there is really embedded electronics and support for AUTOSAR. Okay. So that's really what we've consolidated there. Now here in Pune, where I am at the moment, we've got complementary capabilities, and as I said before, when we look at the sort of topology of capabilities we've got around the world, we've also got software and embedded capabilities in China, the UK, the US, and in Sweden.
Right. Could you also give us a sense of, let's say, some of the future innovations that we would see in the areas of embedded software, digitalization coming out of Tata Technologies?
Well, I think in terms of innovation, I think one of the things that we are very focused upon, as I mentioned before, is delivering solutions that are cost effective. Right. I think there's a real opportunity to develop solutions here that again we can export globally. The type of frugal innovation and frugal engineering capabilities that we find in India, it's unmatched anywhere in the world. So we are certainly very focused upon that. There are some other things that we're investing in that I look forward to be able to share with you in the future. But right now, if I was to position a theme, it's really the cost-effective capabilities that we are looking to really differentiate ourselves against.
All right. So looking at the future possibilities, Mr. Harris, I mean, you've of course spoken about e-mobility, but what are the other areas where you see growth coming in for the company?
Well, we're seeing growth across the digital spectrum. Since COVID, we've seen many of our manufacturing clients look to interject resilience into their supply chains. We've looked to work with our clients to be much more aggressive about the rollout of Industry 4 and smart manufacturing solutions. We are doing a lot of work in the enterprise PLM area, particularly as it pertains to moving PLM globally to the cloud. So those areas are exciting. And we're also seeing a bounce back of other industry verticals. We've talked about automotive, right? But more recently, we've really seen an uptick in aerospace. And you know, we were very proud of the fact that we were impaneled by Airbus in their strategic supplier program at the end of last year, and in March of this year, we had a signing ceremony at the Taj Palace in Mumbai, and we're really anticipating a significant uptick of business, not just with Airbus, but in the aerospace sector. Obviously, we're looking to intersect with many of the things that the group are doing, and so there's some exciting opportunities that I think we'll be able to attach ourselves there. But I see aerospace as being a very strong vertical for us in the coming fiscal year and beyond.
Okay, could you quantify that for us, Mr. Harris? You know, what's the kind of opportunity you see the aerospace domain really bringing into Tata Technologies business?
Well, we're looking at growth rates from a relatively small base because of what's happened over the last couple of years. You know, we're looking at growth rates in the next couple of years of 40% and above.
Okay.
So we are really expecting the aerospace business to get back to where it was before COVID relatively quickly, and we see momentum beyond that. You know, if you look at the aerospace sector, there has not been a great deal of investment in new product. You know, even before COVID, most of the investment was in manufacturing throughput, and we see that starting to change in the coming years, and we are positioning ourselves to take full advantage of that.
Okay, all right. So you know, if you have to look at the near to long term outlook for the growth for the company, where do you see the next level of growth coming in for the company?
Well, we see the momentum that we've established in automotive continuing. I think driven by the move to electrification, the move to connected, the move to autonomous. We see automotive in the next 3 to 5 years as being a very, very, very exciting space. And I think because of our full vehicle credentials, because of the type of complexity that we've been entrusted with, because we've been endorsed by organizations like Zinnov as being the number one automotive player in India, we see that momentum continuing, and so, you know, double-digit growth and beyond in automotive. Aerospace, I've positioned. We will see a great deal of momentum, and it won't just be in the traditional areas. I think aerospace has been fairly deliberate about embracing digital and looking at you know, the role of things like electrification, and I think that will change in the coming years. You know, there's a number of exciting startups that we're intersecting with, specifically in the United States, which we are excited about. So we see that as representing growth. You know, the industrial heavy machinery area, I think is also another relatively exciting area, particularly as it pertains to electrification and autonomous.
Right.
You know, the relationships that we have with some of the blue chip players in that sector give us good confidence that we'll also see growth there. You know, for us, our first priority is to consolidate our support for the industry verticals that we have traditionally been associated with.
Right.
But part of our strategy drives us towards diversification, and certainly high tech is an area of interest. The Tata Group will be a big player in the high tech space, and that affords organizations like ourselves the opportunity to build the type of capabilities that will be relevant for that sector. I think medical equipment is an area where we have not just skills from a product perspective that are relevant, but also our Industry 4 and the manufacturing expertise
Right.
developed. I think the smart manufacturing capabilities are directly relevant to some of the challenges that are being positioned against that industry. So we certainly see opportunity and growth in our traditional sectors, but also as we look medium to long term, we see an opportunity from a diversification perspective.
Right. My final question, Mr. Harris, is going to be, while you would approach growth organically, would you also be approaching growth from an inorganic perspective?
I think so, and I think the rationale has somewhat changed from the perspective of M&A. You know, traditionally, when we've looked at the acquisitions of Cambric and Ascenda, you know, we were looking at customer acquisition, and we were looking at the type of relationships that we could help scale through the capabilities specifically that we've got here in India. I think with the supply side challenges that we've got at the moment, I think that will be as much as of a driver as far as our inorganic ambitions is concerned, as you know, going after new logos and going after a presence in different geographies.
Thank you, Mr. Harris, for speaking to Mobility Outlook today. Truly appreciate you taking time. Thank you.
Thank you. It's always great to talk to you. Thank you again.